All right, here's the 411, folks. Say some gangster is dissing your fly girl. You just give him one of these. Ooh, hey, ooh.
Hey everybody, it's Tyler the Fro here, and I have finally selected the deck that I'm going to be playing in Nationals this weekend. When in doubt, go with what you know, and there's nothing I know better than Dredge. I know Beelstarmon inside and out, so that's the deck that I'm going to be running. I did make a couple changes to the deck as kind of a metagame call. Notably, I've cut the Ol Swarmers, and I've dropped down to 15 7-cost options. The Ol Swarmer I was finding wasn't super great because if you flip it in security, it goes to your hand, which is pretty much like the last place you want your 7-cost options. So instead, I'd much rather have something that goes directly to the trash. As well, I'm not really expecting too many decks to go wide. BT11 is kind of shaping up to be more of a build up one big threat kind of format. So I really needed something more point and click, take out a thing. Basically that boiled down to either a deletion effect like Trump Sword or more bounce. I was noticing that there were a lot more decks that were susceptible to bouncing as opposed to deletion, so that's why I've got 2 copies of Metal Storm. It boiled down to either Metal Storm or Plasma Decker Launcher, and I found that the Metal Storm was a little bit better in most areas. Like if I'm playing it from my hand, I can hit anything that's level 6 or lower, whereas if I'm playing Plasma Decker Launcher from my hand, it's level 6 or above. So it gives me a much wider scope of things that I can get rid of. The reason why bounce is so important in this format is a lot of decks got bonuses that protect against deletion specifically, or introduced new on deletion effect that bouncing can get around. Most notably the new Beelstarmon, anything with material save, any Digicross decks, the amount of Mervamon decks that just kind of live out of their trash. These are the kinds of decks that a well-timed Metal Storm in conjunction with Casitas Breath will be able to get around pretty easily. I've also included 1 copy of Calling from Darkness, which was missing from my Store Championship deck list. This is kind of just a really cheap way of manually sacrificing one of my guys, so I can trigger any on-deletion effects, and it allows me to grab 2 Beelstarmon just straight out of the trash in the late game for like those game-ending combos. I'm expecting this weekend to be a mix of Black Wargreymon X, Grandis Quagamon, Metal Garurumon X, Mastamon, a lot of those style of decks. And the reason I ended up on Beelstarmon compared to some of the other decks I've been posting about is because Beelstarmon has a lot more hard removal and interaction, whereas a lot of the other decks I was testing just didn't. Beelstarmon especially preys on those build up one big stack kind of decks. They can build up an entire stack of Metal Garurumon X, and I can just Casitas Breath it, bounce, and just wasted their entire turn. A lot of decks are going to be running OTKs because that's one of the best ways to beat Black Wargreymon X, which is kind of the boogeyman for this format. So if, say, 25% of the field is playing Black Wargreymon X and 75% of the field is playing decks to beat Black Wargreymon X, I'd much rather play a deck that has very good matchups against 75% of the field versus a coin flip against 25% of the field. So that's why Beelstarmon is really well positioned for this kind of field, because even the Black Wargreymon X matchup can be kind of a coin toss. This deck has the opening starts with your various Impmons and Dobermons and Genkakumon promotes that allow you to just rush them down while they're building up their stack. If you're able to rush them down, you can kind of swarm around the level 6s that they play, and you can just chip them out really early. You basically give them no time to set up, and you just force them on the back foot, and it's not a particularly good deck for playing defensively. So that's why if I can get those early starts of like rookie, level 4, Nailbone, like those like go wide starts, I can crush the matchup pretty easily. But if they start building up those kind of stacks, it can be kind of tricky. But against everything else, I'm not too worried. anything brand new coming out of this format, like All Force Beelstarmon, again, is a build up to a level 6. I crushed those. The Mastermon decks actually got slower because in the first turn trying to play a Tamer, give me 5 memory to work with, and then I set them to like 1 or 2, and then they're screwed. I also think that a lot of the more aggressive matchups that Beelstarmon can kind of struggle against, like Blue Flare, Commandramon, they're not as well favored against Black or Greymon. So I'm pretty happy with not running like Gawal Schwarmer or any sweepers. I'd much rather have like the single target, get rid of one guy at a time, and then just focus on being aggressive while using options to keep my opponent on the back foot. So yeah, that's just a little update for everybody. This is the deck that I'm going to be running all weekend. My goal is to get one of those top 32 jackets, because that is just a sweet prize in my opinion. So be sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Tyler the Fro. I'm going to be posting all of my updates for the weekend there. I'm definitely going to be recording another video for next week, kind of like a recap of the weekend. So stay tuned for that. So don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell, do all that YouTube stuff, and you have yourselves a great weekend. I'll see you all in Los Angeles.